Welcome to Words Through History. In today's episode, we're exploring the intricate history of Afghanistan, a nation rich in cultural diversity and historical significance. Nestled at the crossroads of Asia, Afghanistan has witnessed the rise and fall of great empires, from the ancient Persians to the mighty Mughals. Its strategic location has made it a focal point for trade, culture, and, unfortunately, conflict. Understanding Afghanistan's past is crucial, as it not only illuminates the complexities of its current challenges, but also highlights the resilience of its people. Join me as we unravel the layers of this fascinating history and discover the stories that have shaped Afghanistan into the country it is today. In this video, our aim is to provide a comprehensive overview of Afghanistan's history, tracing its evolution from ancient times to the present day. We'll delve into key events, influential figures, and significant cultural shifts that have defined this remarkable nation. By examining the interplay of various empires, the impact of colonialism, and the struggles for power and identity, we hope to offer a nuanced understanding of Afghanistan's past. This journey will not only highlight its historical complexities, but also help us appreciate the rich heritage and enduring spirit of its people. Join me as we uncover the pivotal moments that have shaped Afghanistan's narrative over the centuries. Afghanistan is strategically located in South-Central Asia, bordered by 6 countries: Iran to the west, Pakistan to the south and east, and Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, and Tajikistan to the north. This unique geographical position has made Afghanistan a vital crossroads for various civilizations throughout history. As a key part of the ancient Silk Road, it facilitated trade and cultural exchange between the East and West, allowing goods, ideas, and religions to flow between Asia and Europe. This blending of cultures contributed to the rich tapestry of Afghan society, where influences from Persian, Indian, Greek, and Islamic traditions have intermingled. Afghanistan's location has not only shaped its history, but also positioned it as a focal point in the geopolitical landscape, making it both a cultural melting pot and a contested territory for various empires throughout the ages. Afghanistan is home to a remarkable tapestry of ethnic groups and cultures, reflecting its long history as a crossroads of civilizations. The major ethnic groups include Pashtuns, Tajiks, Hazaras, Uzbeks, and others, each contributing unique traditions, languages, and customs to the national identity. The Pashtuns, the largest group, predominantly inhabit the southern and eastern regions and have a rich cultural heritage marked by their code of honor, known as Pashtunwali. The Tajiks, mainly found in the northern and western areas, are known for their Persian cultural influences and contributions to literature and art. The Hazaras, an ethnic group with distinct features and a history of marginalization, primarily reside in the Central Highlands and are known for their unique language, Hazaragi, and rich folklore. Uzbeks, who live mainly in the north, bring their own customs and traditions, reflecting the country's Central Asian ties. This ethnic diversity has fostered a vibrant cultural landscape, characterized by varied music, cuisine, and festivals, while also posing challenges for national unity amidst historical tensions and conflicts. Afghanistan's early history includes important civilizations that shaped the region. One of the earliest is the Indus Valley Civilization, which existed around 2500 BCE. While mainly located in present-day Pakistan and northwest India, its influence extended into Afghanistan. This civilization was known for its advanced cities, with organized streets, impressive drainage systems, and a unique writing system. After the Indus Valley, the Achaemenid Empire rose to power around the 6th century BCE. This empire, founded by Cyrus the Great, included parts of Afghanistan. The Achaemenids built a vast network of roads that facilitated trade and communication across their territory. They also encouraged cultural exchanges, making Afghanistan an important crossroads for various peoples. These early civilizations laid the groundwork for Afghanistan's rich cultural heritage and its role in history as a meeting point for different cultures and ideas. One of the most notable events in Afghanistan's history is the conquests of Alexander the Great in the 4th century BCE. After defeating the Persian Empire, Alexander and his army moved into the region, encountering various tribes and cities. His campaigns brought significant changes as he established cities like Alexandria, Arachosia, modern-day Kandahar, and spread Greek culture and ideas throughout the area. This period marked a blending of Greek and local cultures, known as Hellenization, influencing art, architecture, and governance. Alexander's presence in Afghanistan not only reshaped the political landscape, but also set the stage for subsequent empires, highlighting the region's importance as a crossroads of civilizations. His conquests are a pivotal chapter in Afghanistan's long and complex history, illustrating its role in the broader narrative of ancient empires. Invasions, the enduring legacy of Islam in Afghanistan, is evident in its diverse cultures, languages, and traditions, which continue to thrive in the modern era. Two key empires that played a significant role in the history of Afghanistan are the Ghaznavid Empire and the Ghurid Empire. The rise of Islam in Afghanistan began in the 7th century, closely following the death of the Prophet Muhammad in 632 CE. The initial introduction of Islam to the region occurred during the Islamic conquests led by Arab armies, particularly under the Umayyad Caliphate. By the middle of the 7th century, Muslim forces began to invade parts of what is now Afghanistan, encountering various local kingdoms and tribal groups. Invasions, the enduring legacy of Islam in Afghanistan, is evident in its diverse cultures, languages, and traditions, which continue to thrive in the modern era. Two key empires that played a significant role in the history of Afghanistan are the Ghaznavid Empire and the Ghurid Empire. The rise of Islam in Afghanistan began in the 7th century, closely following the death of the Prophet Muhammad in 632 CE. The initial introduction of Islam to the region occurred during the Islamic conquests, led by Arab armies, particularly under the Umayyad Caliphate. By the middle of the 7th century, Muslim forces began to invade parts of what is now Afghanistan, encountering various local kingdoms and tribal groups. Early conquests. The first significant Arab incursions into Afghanistan took place around 650 CE. They faced resistance from local rulers and tribes, but gradually made inroads into the region. Cities like Herat and Kabul became focal points for these conquests. The Arab armies employed both military force and diplomacy, offering local leaders the option to convert to Islam or face military action. Over time, many tribes began to adopt the new faith, drawn by its promise of unity, social justice, and a break from the feudal structures that characterized pre-Islamic society. Cultural integration. The spread of Islam was not just a military endeavor. It involved cultural integration. As Islam took root, it began to blend with local customs and beliefs. This process was facilitated by Sufi mystics who traveled throughout the region, spreading the teachings of Islam through their emphasis on personal spirituality, love, and compassion. Sufism played a crucial role in making Islam appealing to diverse ethnic groups, helping to create a distinct Afghan Islamic identity that incorporated local traditions. centers of learning. By the 8th century, major cities such as Herat, Kabul, and Balkh became important centers of Islamic culture and scholarship. These cities fostered a vibrant intellectual environment, leading to significant advancements in literature, science, and philosophy. Scholars in Afghanistan contributed to various fields, including mathematics, astronomy, and medicine, which would influence not only the Islamic world, but also Europe. The decline of Buddhism. Islam's rise also marked the decline of Buddhism, which had previously flourished in the region. Many Buddhist sites, such as the monumental Bamiyan Buddhas, were abandoned or destroyed as Islamic influence grew. The transition was complex, as some areas witnessed a gradual shift in religious practices, while others faced violent conversions. Subsequent empires. The rise of Islam set the stage for the establishment of powerful Islamic empires in the region. The Ghaznavid Empire and later the Ghori Empire played pivotal roles in consolidating Islamic rule in Afghanistan and expanding its influence into the Indian subcontinent. These empires contributed to the rich cultural and architectural heritage that is characteristic of Afghanistan today. Lasting impact. Islam has remained a central element of Afghan identity and culture throughout the centuries, shaping social structures, laws, and daily life. Despite periods of conflict and external Ghaznavid Empire, 971 to 1186, founded by Muhammad of Ghaznavi, the Ghaznavid Empire emerged in the late 10th century. It marked a period of territorial expansion, with Mahmud leading numerous campaigns into India, which helped establish a significant Islamic presence in the subcontinent. The empire's capital was in Ghazni, in present-day Afghanistan, and it became a center of culture and learning. The Ghaznavids were known for their patronage of the arts and literature, attracting scholars like the famous poet Ferdowsi. The empire played a crucial role in spreading Islam in the region and is remembered for its military prowess and cultural achievements. Ghori Empire, 879 to 1215. The Ghori Empire rose to prominence in the late 12th century, succeeding the Ghaznavids in many territories. Centered in the Ghor region of Afghanistan, the Ghoris are noted for their military conquests and for further expanding Islamic influence in India. Notably, under leaders like Muhammad of Ghor, they defeated the Ghaznavids and established control over much of northern India. The Ghori period also saw advancements in architecture, with the construction of impressive monuments like the Minaret of Jam, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site today. The Ghoris helped lay the groundwork for the later Delhi Sultanate, further embedding Islamic culture in the region. Both empires significantly contributed to the development of Afghan identity, culture, and the spread of Islam, influencing the region's history for centuries to come. Mughal era and the Safavid influence. The Mughal Empire and Safavid influence in Afghanistan significantly shaped the region's culture and society from the late 15th to the 18th centuries. Mughal Empire. The Mughal Empire, established in the early 16th century, had a profound impact on Afghanistan, especially during the reigns of emperors like Babur, Akbar, and Shah Jahan. The Mughals brought architectural grandeur, introducing stunning structures like gardens, mosques, and forts, notably the Shah Jahan's construction of the Taj Mahal. Their rule fostered a rich cultural exchange, blending Persian, Indian, and local traditions. This period saw advancements in art, literature, and music, with Persian becoming the language of culture and administration. Safavid influence. The Safavid Empire, centered in Persia, modern-day Iran, also influenced Afghanistan, especially during the 16th and 17th centuries. The Safavids promoted Shia Islam, which led to a complex dynamic with Sunni populations in Afghanistan. Their cultural contributions included the development of Persian art and poetry, which permeated Afghan culture. The Safavids emphasized calligraphy, painting, and the construction of intricate tile work in mosques and public buildings. Cultural advancements. During this period, Afghanistan became a melting pot of ideas and artistic expression. The blending of Mughal and Safavid styles led to unique advancements in architecture and the decorative arts. Persian poetry flourished, and notable poets like Jami and Ghalib influenced Afghan literature. The fusion of these rich traditions contributed to a vibrant cultural landscape that continues to resonate in Afghan identity today. Overall, this era marked a significant enrichment of Afghan culture, leaving a lasting legacy of artistic and intellectual achievements. 19th century conflicts and British influence. The Anglo-Afghan Wars were a series of 3 conflicts between Britain and Afghanistan that took place in the 19th and early 20th centuries. First Anglo-Afghan War, 1839 to 1842. The First Anglo-Afghan War began in 1839 when Britain invaded Afghanistan to install a friendly ruler, Shah Shuja, and counter Russian influence in the region. However, the invasion was met with fierce resistance, leading to a disastrous retreat from Kabul in 1842, where almost the entire British force was annihilated. Second Anglo-Afghan War, 1878 to 1880. The Second Anglo-Afghan War started in 1878, with Britain aiming to reassert control and prevent Russian expansion. This conflict ended with the Treaty of Gademak in 1879, establishing British control over Afghan foreign policy, but granting the country nominal independence. Third Anglo-Afghan War, 1919. The Third Anglo-Afghan War erupted in 1919 after Afghanistan declared independence following World War I. The conflict concluded with the Treaty of Rawalpindi, affirming Afghanistan's sovereignty while still limiting its foreign relations. Consequences and impact of British colonialism. The consequences of these wars were profound. The repeated invasions fostered deep-seated resentment towards foreign intervention, shaping Afghan nationalism. British colonialism attempted to influence Afghan governance and foreign relations, leading to significant political instability. The wars also had lasting effects on Afghan society, resulting in military modernization and shifts in power dynamics among various tribes and ethnic groups. Furthermore, British policies and military presence altered Afghanistan's geopolitical landscape, setting the stage for future conflicts in the region. The legacy of these conflicts continues to influence Afghanistan's identity and its relationships with neighboring countries today. The 20th century changes Afghanistan's transition to independence in 1919 was marked by a significant shift in its political landscape. Following the conclusion of World War I, Afghanistan declared its independence from British control, leading to the Third Anglo-Afghan War. This brief conflict resulted in a decisive Afghan victory, culminating in the Treaty of Rawalpindi, which recognized Afghanistan's sovereignty and allowed it to conduct its foreign affairs independently. Modernization efforts. After gaining independence, King Ghazi Amanullah Khan sought to modernize Afghanistan to strengthen the nation and reduce foreign influence. He introduced a series of reforms aimed at transforming Afghan society, including educational reforms. Ghazi Amanullah established schools that promoted modern education, including secular subjects and women's education, which was revolutionary for the time. Legal and social reforms. He enacted new laws to improve women's rights, including the abolition of the veil and encouragement of women to participate in public life. Infrastructure development. The king invested in building roads, hospitals, and telecommunications systems to modernize the country's infrastructure. Despite these ambitious efforts, Amanullah faced significant resistance from conservative factions within the country who opposed his rapid reforms. Subsequent coups and instability. The push for modernization led to growing discontent, culminating in a coup in 1929. Amanullah was overthrown by Habibullah Kalakani, a tribal leader who opposed his reforms. However, Kalakani's rule was short-lived, and he was soon defeated by a coalition of forces loyal to Amanullah's former allies. After a brief return to power, Afghanistan experienced a series of political upheavals. The 1930s and 1940s were marked by instability as various factions vied for control. The monarchy was re-established under Muhammad Zahir Shah, who ruled from 1933 to 1973, but faced ongoing challenges, including coups and political unrest. Zahir Shah initiated some modernization efforts of his own, but the country remained deeply divided along ethnic, political, and ideological lines. The culmination of this instability led to a coup in 1973, when Zahir Shah was deposed by his cousin, Muhammad Daoud Khan, who established a republic but faced his own challenges, including rising communist influence and resistance from traditional power structures. These transitions set the stage for further turmoil, leading to the eventual Soviet invasion in 1979 and decades of conflict that would reshape Afghanistan's history. Soviet invasion and aftermath. The Soviet invasion of Afghanistan in 1979 marked a significant turning point in the country's history, leading to a decade of conflict that had profound consequences for Afghanistan and the broader region. The Soviet invasion, 1979. In December 1979, the Soviet Union intervened in Afghanistan to support the struggling communist government of the People's Democratic Party of Afghanistan, PDPA, which was facing widespread opposition from various factions, including traditionalists and Islamic groups. The Soviet leadership, fearing the spread of Islamic fundamentalism and the potential loss of influence in the region, sent troops to stabilize the regime and protect its interests. Initially, the invasion was met with some support from leftist factions, but it quickly ignited a fierce resistance movement among Afghan citizens who viewed the Soviet presence as an occupation. This resistance was fueled by a mix of nationalist sentiments and religious fervor, leading to the formation of the Mujahideen, a term used to describe the various groups of Afghan fighters opposing the Soviet forces. The rise of the Mujahideen. The Mujahideen were composed of diverse factions, including Islamic fundamentalists, tribal leaders, and former military officers united by a common goal of expelling Soviet troops. Prominent figures emerged during this period, such as Gulbuddin Hekmatyar, Ahmed Shah Durrani, and Burhanuddin Rabbani. They received significant support from the United States, Pakistan, and other countries, which provided arms, training, and financial assistance as part of a broader strategy to counter Soviet influence during the Cold War. The resistance fighters employed guerrilla tactics, utilizing Afghanistan's rugged terrain to their advantage. The conflict turned into a protracted war, marked by brutal fighting, widespread destruction, and significant civilian casualties. The Soviet forces faced increasing challenges, both in terms of military effectiveness and growing domestic discontent within the USSR itself. The Civil War and its aftermath. The Soviet invasion and the ensuing conflict led to the collapse of the PDPA in 1989, when Soviet troops withdrew after years of heavy losses and international pressure. However, the departure of Soviet forces did not bring peace to Afghanistan. Instead, the country descended into a civil war as various Mujahideen factions vied for power. The power struggle among these factions led to further violence and chaos, with warlords fighting for control over territories and resources. In 1992, the PDPA regime fell, and a transitional government was established. However, infighting among the Mujahideen soon led to a fragmented and unstable political landscape. The civil war continued throughout the 1990s, culminating in the rise of the Taliban. Emerging from the chaos, the Taliban sought to impose a strict interpretation of Islamic law and gained control of large parts of the country by the 2080s, mid-1990s, ultimately taking Kabul in 1996. Impact of the Soviet invasion. The impact of the Soviet invasion was profound and lasting. It resulted in the deaths of an estimated 1 million Afghans and led to the displacement of millions more, with many seeking refuge in neighboring countries. The conflict also devastated Afghanistan's infrastructure and economy, setting the stage for ongoing instability. Internationally, the war fueled anti-Soviet sentiment and contributed to the dynamics of the Cold War, as the US and its allies supported the Mujahideen. The long-term consequences of this conflict would resonate for decades, influencing global jihadist movements and contributing to the conditions that would later lead to further conflicts, including the rise of the Taliban and the eventual US invasion in 2001. The rise of the Taliban and 9/11. The emergence of the Taliban in the 1990s was a direct result of the chaos and power struggles that followed the Soviet withdrawal from Afghanistan and the subsequent civil war among various Mujahideen factions. Emergence of the Taliban. The Taliban, which means students in Pashto, began as a group of religious students in the early 1990s, primarily based in the southern province of Kandahar. Founded by Mullah Muhammad Omar Mujahid, the group aimed to restore peace and order after years of conflict. The Taliban capitalized on public disillusionment with the warlords who had fought for control of Afghanistan, promising stability, security, and a strict interpretation of Islamic law. By 1994, the Taliban began to gain traction, capturing Kandahar and gradually expanding their control over other regions. They presented themselves as a moral force against the corruption and violence that characterized the civil war, and their strict enforcement of Islamic laws appealed to segments of the population seeking order. Rule in the 1990s. By 1996, the Taliban had seized Kabul and established their rule over most of Afghanistan. Their regime was marked by a severe interpretation of Sharia law. They imposed strict dress codes, banned education for girls, and restricted women's to work. Taliban managed to provide a semblance of stability in a war-torn country, which garnered them a lot of domestic support. Connection to September 11th. The Taliban's rise to power also involved hosting Al-Qaeda, led by Osama bin Laden. After being expelled from Sudan and sought to use the country as a launch pad for international jihad, the Taliban provided him and his followers with protection. The culmination of these events led to the September 11th, 2001 attacks on the United States. The attacks were orchestrated by Al-Qaeda and resulted in nearly 3,000 deaths. In response, the US demanded that the Taliban hand over bin Laden and dismantle Al-Qaeda's infrastructure in Afghanistan. The Taliban's refusal led to the US invasion of Afghanistan in October 2001. The Taliban sacrificed their government to shelter their guest and protect their Muslim brother, the US-led invasion quickly toppled the Taliban regime, and by December 2001, the group was removed from power. However, the invasion set the stage for a prolonged conflict, as the Taliban regrouped and launched an insurgency against US and Afghan government forces in the following years. The aftermath of the invasion and the ongoing conflict contributed to a cycle of violence and instability in Afghanistan, with the Taliban continuing to exert influence in various regions. The complexity of Afghan politics, tribal dynamics, and the deep-seated grievances from decades of war made it challenging to establish lasting peace, leading to a situation that still affects the region today. The Taliban regained power in Afghanistan in August 2021, following the rapid withdrawal of US and NATO forces after 2 decades of military engagement in the country. As international troops departed, the Taliban launched a swift offensive, capturing key cities and ultimately seizing the capital, Kabul, on August 15, 2021. This takeover marked the culmination of a long insurgency that began in the early 2000s, following the US-led invasion that ousted the group from power in 2001. Recent developments. The Taliban's recent developments in Afghanistan, particularly after their takeover in August 2021, here are some notable aspects. 1. Infrastructure projects. The Taliban has initiated various infrastructure projects, including road construction and maintenance, to improve connectivity within the country. They aim to enhance trade routes and access to remote areas. 2. Education initiatives. While education policies have faced criticism, there have been efforts to promote technical and vocational training for both men and women, aiming to equip people with skills for the job market. 3rd, economic efforts. The Taliban has been trying to stabilize the economy by focusing on agriculture, given Afghanistan's reliance on this sector. Initiatives include encouraging farmers to grow more crops and reducing dependence on poppy cultivation. 4th, international relations. The Taliban has been engaging with neighboring countries and seeking diplomatic recognition. They are trying to establish trade relationships, particularly with Pakistan and China, to support Afghanistan's economy. 5. Security improvements. There have been claims of improved security in certain areas, with a notable decrease in some forms of violence compared to the previous years of civil conflict. 6. Cultural preservation. The Taliban has emphasized the importance of preserving Afghan culture, including historical sites, as part of their governance narrative. And the true impact of these initiatives will depend on future governance and international engagement. Afghanistan's history is a long and complex one, marked by invasions, resistance, cultural richness, and strategic significance. Located at the crossroads of Central and South Asia, Afghanistan has seen the rise and fall of empires, foreign occupations, and internal power struggles over millennia. Here's a brief conclusion of its historical journey. Conclusion: Afghanistan's history is shaped by its resilience against foreign domination, its strategic importance, and its cultural diversity. The cycles of conflict and attempts at rebuilding continue to define its future. Despite its tumultuous past, Afghanistan remains a nation of profound historical and cultural significance, with its people enduring and adapting through centuries of change.